Hello. This is my first broadcast. I don't know if anyone's here. Okay. Do you hear
Hello.
me? Yes. Okay. Now to find out if anyone's watching. Okay, there's emojis. That's useful. This is the first time I've done this. If anyone's here. Someone's here. 9 people are here. Wow. That's cool. Well, I hope this is worth your time. The first thing I need to do is see, oh, okay, there's a chat, and I put an emoji in it. Okay. I want to see the chat. This is something I need to do. I need to see the chat. And I'm sure that's among the possibilities. You guys are here for the best part of the show for sure. It's just like, it doesn't get more real than this. Trying to figure out how to do it. And I watched a lot of YouTube tutorials too. So I used my own tool, the YouTube tutorial, to actually learn how to chat on the. Oh, there you are! Wow, there's a lot of people in the chat already. Hello. Okay. Hey Ben, what's your favorite sandwich? Nice. It's real. This is happening. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. So I've been making the Let's Write series, and you know that's taken a lot of time and a lot of effort, and there are some people who've been sticking with it the whole time, and we made a real big amount of progress this week. We just put out like 6 episodes of that, and we're just about done with the part where I'm writing, so I kind of wanted to have a chat with you folks and say hi. So I guess I'll just go down the list here until the number of people is overwhelming and I can't address them. And that someday that might happen. You never know. But hello. Hello to all the people saying hello. And the where am I is a good question. I feel like we're always in our own brains and stuff. I'm sure you'll all let me know if this isn't working, but I don't really think that there's any way to be sure where you are. I think it's just an impossible question. Where am I? So I can't answer that. I met you at Soda Bar in San Diego. Thanks for coming out. San Diego is cool. I really liked that show. One thing that was really nice about that show was that we had a lot of people smiling the whole time. And the last time we were in San Diego before this most recent one that James Howard 90 is referring to, the last time we were in San Diego, we were yelled at a lot by the sound engineer, and there was appalling feedback and a lot of just painful memories. So that was really special. San Diego show is like our revenge show. Is this real life? No guarantees there. Welcome from Australia. That's cool. I hope to go someday and find out what the bubble tea is like over there. I thought maybe you could walk around Boston here, where I'm from, and if you were to have to eat or drink a large bubble tea every time you saw a bubble tea shop, that would be a really interesting food challenge, and you'd probably not be able to walk through the whole city. You'd probably die. Let's see. Yeah, so that's Australia. Man, what's my favorite? So what is my favorite sandwich? Geez, this is making me nervous, man. Favorite sandwich? Ay, ay, ay. How can anyone answer that? This is a hard question. Well, I definitely like sandwiches that involve just good solid bread. I think that's the key. You got to get the bread right. Then you can just put ketchup on it. So I'd say anything between 2 slices of bread that I like if you get the bread right, there's really nothing else you could put in between sandwich slices. There's really nothing I wouldn't eat if you get the bread right. All right. And I hope you're all no one's regretting tuning into this yet. All right. Imposto e rubo. What does that mean? I would love to know what it means in English, because that's the only language I understand, unfortunately, besides the universal language of music. Your music has helped me through a lot of tough times. How are you so talented, man? Well, thank you. I'm glad that it has helped you, because music has helped me through a lot of tough times. In fact, everything good in my life I can attribute in some way to music, with the exception of my good fortune of being born to good parents, with good parents. But every other good thing that I hold dear is a result of music. I met my fiance through music. I made all of my friends through music. I've learned how to respect myself as a human, not just because I for a long time I wasn't really good at anything. I didn't have any reason to wake up exactly. I was just kind of I was just kind of lost and felt physically unattractive. And music gave me something that I could value about life outside of my genetics or my appearance or whatever self-esteem issues I had. So music's the best, and I'm talented. My talent is I know how to work really hard. So to be able to work hard and keep your focus, and that's like a skill to keep focus. You have to train yourself to keep your focus. It's not something you're just born with, I think. I think that's my talent, and so just the ability to work hard is the talent that you can cultivate yourself, that I think is most important. Hello from Beirut, and hello from Roma. Very happy I would never be able to talk to you in my room over here. And that's true for most of you, unless. All right, hey Ben, I do play piano. I play piano about as well as a guy who you tape his fingers together, but I do play. It's just kind of like, yeah, well, it'd be like putting gloves on and just kind of you smash around. I'm exaggerating a bit, but it ain't great. And cheers from Brazil, the place where Brazilian rosewood is from, I'm guessing, just based on the name. You have a question, Jacob Ingram? I'm having trouble creating melodic lines that don't just run up and down a scale or arpeggio. How can I introduce more interest? Creating melodic lines that aren't just a scale or arpeggio. The key to making more interesting lines is having a better ear. Training your ears helps you, because I bet you your brain, I bet your imagination of music is more interesting than what you play. This is typically the case with people, and it is the ear training combined with the theory and the technique to play that allows you to get the best stuff out of your instrument, which is your brain, through your tool, which is your instrument, your guitar or whatever. So the main instrument's the brain, and yeah, you could probably make some great melodic lines in your imagination. So you gotta work on your ear training and find exercises with ear training, singing intervals, getting comfortable thinking about what you hear as small identifiable intervals. That'll help you bring some more of your real beautiful ideas out into your music. Now, you like my profile pic? What is it? Alex Perkins. Oh, this is not to me. I don't know if I have a profile pic. Oh yeah, it's me holding a guitar. All right. Well, I'm glad y'all are talking to each other too. And hello again, Andreas and Harmonicus Idol wants, or D Edler or Idol wants to know when Adam and I are getting married, referring to Adam Neely. I mean, I'll marry that guy if he just asks, but I'm not gonna be the first one to ask because I have too much pride. Like, I need to be sought. So I already plan on marrying someone else, but like, it's Adam Neely, and you gotta open your mind, man. And when the Adam Neely approaches, you gotta be ready. You gotta let him into your life. So we'll get married once he asks me to do it. But otherwise, no way, Jose. Well, I was just playing an E flat major 7 and an A flat major 7 on guitar in a G keyed chord progression, and you went live. Did I summon you? Yeah, that's one of my favorite progressions for sure. Great job. I hope it was. Oh, what? Oh, I got a donation. Thank you. Thank you. It looks like it's from the profile picture is a letter N, and so I'll find out who you are in a bit, I think. But thank you for doing that. I didn't even know that was a feature until I was watching Adam's stream the other day, and I was like, oh, that's a good feature. Yeah, it's interesting finding new revenue models for music. I think most of you are musicians, so like this whole YouTube Patreon marriage is like, I think it's likely to be like the next releasing albums. Probably won't be quite as lucrative as that was, but it'll also be available to people more easily, more opportunity there. Ben is a good hair boy. Yeah, thanks, Leo. It's a good hair boy for sure. Yeah, and greetings from Sweden. Hello. Hey, man, and hello from Germany. Do a trick, please. All right, I'll do a trick. Can you guess what I'm holding? Hot sauce. All right. I don't know if that's good enough. Thoughts on veganism? I am a vegan. I think it's important for people to respect each other when they talk about things they're passionate about. So I think vegans have a kind of bad public image, but the things that we want are things that most non-vegans want. So like, there's a lot of common ground. If you ever end up in a debate about it, it's good to not make people feel like you think they're bad people or something. It's important to just listen and talk with your ears open. I think, wow, this is so cool. There's all these different kinds of currency. Thank you so much for these donations to Nereus 103683. I appreciate all of you for being on this stream. This is my first stream ever, and this is already very fun, making me nervous. Like, anytime something makes you nervous, it's a good sign. If it makes you nervous but not like unhappy, it's a good thing to do, because it actually will help you play on stage and keep your hands steady and stuff. I really thank you for these. Oh man, this is fun. All right, so yeah, when is Bentley coming to Michigan next? We're playing a festival in Detroit in October. It's either the 7th or sometime after the 14th, but I think it's on Bentley's site now. Thank you. I'd love to play for you live. This Detroit festival is going to be cool too. Thank you for asking. Do you have Age of Ads album in every room, or just move one around? Well, I have a Age of Odds. It's like a mirror. My fiance made this for me, and it's made out of like a bunch of schmutz that you could put on your face if you were into that kind of thing. But it's designed to look like the Age of Odds cover, and that is in any room I've ever lived in. It's one of my favorite albums for sure, so I'll be happy to have it in every room. I majored in guitar performance, but I took a lot of composition classes too. There was a lot of open time towards the end of my time at Berklee, because I had done a lot of stuff like the theory stuff before Berklee, and I was able to test in a little higher, and so I ended up with a lot of empty space towards the end, so I did a lot of composition stuff. Thank you again to Nirias. I'm glad you think I'm a cool dude. I still definitely, to some extent, rely on other people to make me feel good about myself. So it's something I'm working on, but it definitely don't hurt. Cheers from Oslo. Cheers to you, Andres. And nice, you're from Mexico. Well, cheers to you in Mexico. All right, I'm being all over the place. Hello, Olivia. All right, thank you for being here. Hey, Ben, I just love if you can talk about your journey with ear training and how your hearing changed from when you started music till now. If that's too much, a little insight would be great. Good question, Tony. So, uh, ear training is something very vague to people. I think just like the idea of training your ear, it's so different from an instrument because an instrument is something you can hold in your hand, you can look at it, you can feel it, and you can see, my hands don't move as fast as that person, so I need to solve that puzzle. Oh, I don't know how to play chords, so I need to learn chords. But ears are just like this kind of ethereal, like cloudy concept. It's like, how do you know? You can never really know how someone else is hearing. You can never, but you can look at someone's hand and be like, I see how the guitar part of that works, but it's hard to really figure out how someone hears. So how do you work on your ear training? Well, one of the big things you can do that's really good is to just not learn things from tabs or notation, but learn things off of recordings by ear, because the process of translating something from hearing it and then learning it on your instrument, figuring it out on your instrument, isn't very different from hearing something in your head and translating it into what you play. You could say to some extent, transcribing is like playing exactly what you hear, but in super slow motion with lots of mistakes. And so if you were to transcribe a lot, you'd get faster and faster at transcribing, which would actually make you faster at translating what you hear to what you play. The other big thing with ear training that you want to work on is identifying intervals by ear. And if anyone doesn't know about this, or I'm assuming plenty of people don't know about this, it's called musictheory.net. If you go to that website, I just posted in the chat. It has tools in there for learning your intervals, like little exercises that you can use that will be extremely helpful for learning to hear an interval and then name what it is. Naming it is really useful because then you start to have like these words that make you think of sounds. And having words that make you think of sounds and being able to associate and categorize sounds helps you hear and think about them on a more nuanced, more separated level. Like a fourth is so different from a second. La, la, that's a second, major second. La, la, that's a fourth. They're different. They sound different. So by having different names for them that are specific and consistent, you will have a even more nuanced feeling of how different they are. So learning to name intervals and identify them by ear, doing lots of transcription, I think that's the best start for ear training. Hey Ben, I'm loving the writing with a plan piece lately. Yeah, thank you, Danielle. The journey of doing this Write with a Plan series, I'm sure like if you're watching this stream, you're at least aware of it because I've been putting them out for like more than a month. But this process of writing music publicly and hearing people's feedback and like talking while I'm writing, it's quite difficult, but I really wanted to sort of show that you don't need a lot of materials, and you don't even need to be perfect by any means at composing to work and get a piece from start to finish. Like, as you can tell if you've been following the series, I'm a flawed musician, like every musician is, but you only see people's end products, so you can start to think that some musicians are just perfect and always get it right. And there are musicians I know I've met that when they're writing, they're like less sloppy than I am. Like I'm a sloppy composer. There's a whole lot of tumultuousness before I get to the finish line. Um, but and especially when I'm like talking while I'm doing it. But I hope that you can see from the series that like my ultimate goal is the series will be like, yeah, well, you know what, this man, anyone really can do this. I mean, MuseScore is free, and if you have a computer, it's not a heavy duty software, and so yeah, I guess why don't I start composing? And so I plan on recording the piece that I wrote in that series, and hopefully when it's recorded, everyone will, if not like it, at least hear that, you know, it turned from something that was really just nothing, you know, just my first blop 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 in MuseScore turned into something that was like, you know, a piece of music. It sounds cool. Um, and Spencer says that what Daniel said. So thanks guys for checking out the writing with a plan. That, as you can tell from the view counts, it's like it requires a lot of patience to keep going. And you know, I'm kind of boring sometimes. In some episodes, I just don't get very far. So like naturally, the interest drops off in each video, and it's sort of like this sadistic thing that I do. But you gotta, when you start something like that, you gotta do it. Hey Ben, hey Sachet, who's your, or Sachet, or who's your favorite artist and your favorite band? Well, one of my favorite, the first person that always comes to mind with favorite artist is Kendrick Lamar, because in the last couple of years, I think he's been my biggest musical influence. My favorite band, well, I have these phases of lifetime where I have favorite bands, but like for a while it was Nirvana, then Weezer, then Megadeth, then uh, Led Zeppelin, and then like Steve Vai, and then Sufjan Stevens and Kendrick Lamar. I mean, I don't think of them as like separate categories, bands and artists, but you know, of course, they are two different things. Um, I really enjoy Radiohead, of course. You know, I think every guy who wears skinny jeans and walks around making ironic jokes enjoys the Radiohead. Um, so those are some of my favorites. Who are your favorites? And hello, Charlotte. Hello, hair girl, hair boy. That's me. Uh, let's see. Justin, I pray every night God will give me a Adam Neely. That's that. Are you impersonating me? Because that's true. I just pray every night that that boy will come up to me and say, "Mr. Ben," or "What's your name again?" And say, "Ben, it's Ben. You got it right." Like, yeah, I wish you would marry me. That's what I want him to say. And so, Pegasus says, "I'd like to know what's your favorite series from your channel." And greetings from Spain. Greetings to you. My favorite series so far, I think they're my production videos, like from Clusterfuck to Dope as Fuck, or like chords and stuff. Like those times, they're just kind of like magical moments that just I was like, I hope this is good. I turn on the camera and I was like, I hope this is good. Another favorite series is the Let's Write series, because it's something I really want to see other people do, and I haven't seen it, so I think it's like original and special, and it'll be, you know, useful to people. And it's like it pushes me to my limits. So I enjoy making it, even though it causes me some despair sometimes. Thank you for the question. How does that donation thing work? Uh, I think there's like a button that says super chat in the bottom left of the chat, but I'm not sure. Thanks for asking. And yes, every bit helps for sure, because the way that people fund music these days, if you're an artist, the way you make money as a musician is from many different places. I'm sure you all heard this before, but you get like tiny trickles of money from many different places, many different connections, and sometimes it's kind of discouraging or horrifying, because like you can't really predict. I don't have like solid income that's super predictable. I have like a lot of changes. Like you know, I'll go on tour and then I'll lose my students because I'm on tour. And I'll come back and like hopefully my students want to start up again. And you know, you don't necessarily make money on tour. So having these other ways of making money, like the way that YouTube's come up, it's like a small extra help. And mostly we've been seeing a lot of revenue streams disappearing for music. So the fact that this one is appearing is very encouraging, just emotionally encouraging. You can give me 1 penny, and just the fact that there's like, oh my God, there's a new way to do this is very exciting. And the chat right now isn't about the chat right now isn't about me trying to earn money. Otherwise, I would probably stream a lot more often. But I'm just grateful that you guys are, that anyone is even considering it, and I'm grateful that you're all here. And I got a $5 donation while I was saying that. It made my, as they say, it made my my pee-pee go up. So thank you very much. I'll get to you in a second. So let's see. Greetings from Brazil. Hello. Good to see you. Sorry for my English. I want to say that Bentley and all of you are really amazing. For me, the most thrilling thing that happened in music since for years, your way of doing things is very peculiar, I think. Yeah, well, thank you. I'm really glad that the music means something to you, because it pretty much put my 20s into that band. I put a lot into it, and it's yeah, it's like this one of the most important, it's like one of the most important and challenging things that I do. And you know, I love the music too. And I feel like a big part of what um, makes the music exist is the fact that people out there genuinely enjoy it. Because if people didn't love the music, of course I would still make music, but the way we're making music in Bentley is maybe the hardest way to make music, where you're touring all the time and you give up all the other ways to have a stable life in pursuit of a band. So the fact that that actually matters to some people and that people out there enjoy it absolutely it keeps it going. So we're incredibly, we take our audience very seriously. Like I think of like when we have a show for only like 6 people or something, I think, okay, those people are getting a crazy show tonight because they're the 6 that came, you know, like that's kind of how we see it. Very important folks. So, and thank you, Maximilian. You're digging it too. Makes me a happy boy. Raphael says, I love your composing series. Cheers from Portugal. Thank you. Marcus Rugby. Hey, Ben, I'm Eli's little bro. We had spaghetti. That's right. Thank you for being here. That was some good spaghetti and a good jam. Justin says, any chance of you releasing stems or acapellas of any of your tracks? Well, Bentley has our stems released on the Isotope website. I'm not sure if it's like on their main page or on their blog, but they have a thing where you can take one of our songs, the actual stems from our song, and remix it from the song Leak Water. And I also think there's some others coming too. So Tony Atkinson, thank you so much for your donation. What is that? Like, I don't know some of these currencies. I just want to be less ignorant. So it's like this kind of a thing. Is that euro? Oh, it must be euro. I'm not sure. How do you Google a symbol? Like, but thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And to Andreas, thank you so much to you as well. You guys keep making awesome content. I appreciate that. You guys are making me feel really good today. And that's something to be grateful for. You guys ever think about if you didn't have a yesterday and if you didn't have a tomorrow and you're looking at today just in context of itself and there was no context of yesterday's action or any hope for tomorrow, like, do you ever think maybe that's a better way to decide if your day was good? I don't know. That's something I've been thinking about lately. Do you listen to Sinister Gates' work? No, I haven't heard of that, but now I have. So I'll just copy that name and put it in my thingy where I go to for checking out bands. Um, let's see. Love your vids, man. Thank you. One of you. Oh, thank you, Andreas. Which album is Andreas talking about? The Sinister Gates. Um, I'm gonna. Oh yeah, my Navarre, one of my friends is on here. He says you and Jessica are engaged. Congrats, man. Yeah, we didn't tell anyone, uh, but we did it. We had like a conversation, and that's the decision we came to. Holy crap! Well, it's Ben Levin live on the YouTube. Yep, the crap hole's here, and so is Ben Boy. Yep, my first time live, and it's going fine. I think. I'm not sure what is the standard for what a good live time is. I feel like it's answering questions well. I think that's the idea. Hi Ben, I've lost my inspiration and urge to play. Ah, this is what do you do? This is the kind of stuff I think I can be most helpful for. You've lost your inspiration and your urge to play. Well, first of all, that's okay. That's something that happens. It's not a forever thing necessarily. It's something that comes and goes. Some people feel that way for a long time. Some people feel that way for just a few days. But it's a common, not necessarily permanent mindset. So the inspiration and the urge to play, I feel like one of the safe ways to make sure that you feel inspired is to continuously make music with other people, to have other people involved in some way. It could be on to a friend far away and having them send a video back of what they're working on. It could be writing a song with someone. It could be sitting in a room and jamming. It could be talking about music with someone. Just the simple act of talking about it. But when you treat music as a team sport, it tends to help you find new reasons to love music. It also tends to cause interesting kinds of stress too. You know, like when you're working with other people, you know, you have conflicts. That's part of it too. And you learn how to, I think, how to communicate through music in, I guess, a greater variety of ways as a way to communicate with another person, and each person's going to communicate with music differently. So there's so much new and exciting territory that comes with a new person to play with, or just playing with a person you've played with a lot in a new way. So I recommend not being alone with your music. Another thing that really gets me excited to play is going to bed and waking up at the same time, and having a before bed and after waking up musical ritual of some sort that isn't about necessarily getting better at something or getting worse, but it's about really listening to just the basic sounds. And another thing that can help with inspiration and your urge to play is to take a break. I think people, myself included, tends to be a little too it's hard to balance having a sense of urgency with not beating yourself up too much. A sense of urgency is like, well, life is short and I gotta work and I gotta, like, I only have so much time and I want to do all this, so I should. That's really healthy to have. And then beating yourself up too much is like saying, like, I didn't practice enough. I just don't have what it takes. Or this guy's so much better than me. Or this lady's so much better than me. I'll never be good enough. That obviously is too far. So you want to have that sense of urgency without the masochistic part, if you can. And then at the same time, you know, you got to let yourself take a break. You got a bucket, as Jessica says, you have a bucket full of creativity. It fills up and you pour it out to make stuff, and then you got to give time for that bucket to fill up again. That's kind of how I see it. And also, you can't count on your muse. Sometimes you just have to work through it. it's just a shades of gray thing. It's really hard to say this is the right approach, this is the wrong approach, but I hope that's some helpful stuff for you, Leonardo. And John Appleseed, good to see you. Favorite contemporary classical composers? Well, I love Shostakovich a lot because of his story, and a lot because of his music. And Stravinsky. I don't have like too much really interesting stuff to say about that, but like for newer contemporary classical composers, Robert Honstein, of course Steve Reich, love John Luther Adams, really cool. He does music that when you put it on in your on headphones and walk around, it's like suddenly the world is just a different place. It transforms the world. It soaks in with everything, and everything is suddenly magical. So John Luther Adams, Robert Honstein, and Steve Reich. Those are the first ones that come to mind. Hi Ben, can you come to Finland with bent knee? Well, Tony, I think it's definitely possible. I'm not sure, but I know we're doing a lot of international stuff next year. So keep an eye out in the spring and summer next year. Hopefully we will. Hard for me to be sure. Time to take this and pretend to drink water, so everyone thinks I'm not a robot. All right. Whoa. There's a lot of comments I have to put. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. My favorite song and album currently. Okay, what was I? Haven't listened to music in about a month because on tour you listen to so much music, and then off tour I'm just writing all the time, trying to like use all that music I listened to. What was I listening to? Well, the Perfume Genius album's really good. There's this guy Richard Dawson who has an album called Peasant. That's good. Yeah. Oh yeah, Tyler the Creator's new album. Really enjoy it. Favorite song? Let's see. Off of Peasant by Richard Dawson, there's a song called Prostitute. It's just so pretty, and sweet, and I really like it. Andrew says, Dr. Asterisk, 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 and then my name. I'd say you got it. You got it. All right, Andreas, hello. Can't wait to hear the final result for Writing the Plan. Yes, thank you for supporting me, and thank you for following the series. I can't wait either. I hope it's as good as I think it will be. We're gonna record it in a living room, which is gonna be really interesting, cool vibe. I'm trying to make it a relaxed, fun session for people, and hopefully I'll be able to interview the players, get some good info out of them. Don't need to be nervous. Pedro, thanks. Thanks for the music theory lessons. Thank you, Pedro. It's hard not to be nervous when you're talking to 33 people. All right. Yeah. And you see when people stop watching too, so I gotta like not think about that. It's just like a show. You can't think about the person talking at the bar. You got to think about the people in front of you listening, because they're benefiting a lot from being there, and you're benefiting a lot from them being there, and there's a lot of energy to focus on there. So that's good enough. Authenticator Monkey, familiar face. Ben, do you listen to or play jazz? Who is your favorite jazz player overall and favorite jazz guitarist? I do listen to and play jazz. I would say my abilities as a jazz player are sort of like when I'm playing like jazz and you'd call it jazz, it's not authentic sounding, because I just don't do it a lot, but it's kind of where my harmonic background comes from, so it's deeply influenced my music. But I guess I'd say I'm not good at jazz. I would say that. I sound kind of like a bad actor. So, but my favorite jazz players overall. Well, you know, the way jazz is used in Kendrick Lamar's "To Pimp a Butterfly" is my favorite time running into jazz. I really like Pat Metheny, and I really enjoy like Coltrane's "Love Supreme" and like a few of these like, like things that everybody likes. Uh, but when I hear jazz intersecting with hip hop and like what Flying Lotus does with it, that's when I feel like emotionally like it just destroys me in the good way. Like just like jazz is the best. Oh, jazz is so good. That's what makes me feel that way. So you know, Terrace Martin from To Pimp a Butterfly, one of the producers. I think that's the right name. He plays saxophone all over that album, so I would say he's my favorite in terms of that performance in that album. And Blue from Brazil, The Cure. I think that's probably an answer to a question I asked a long time ago. It's probably the name of the band that album is from that was mentioned. Thank you. I'll look back for more. Harmonicus says, I'm going to compose a piece called The Marriage of Ben and Adam. Please, maybe he'll get the idea. Yes, the Levin and Neely bromance. That is a good title for a book. Have you heard Jagged Jazzist album Starfire? Lots of cool music made in Norway. No, I have not. I will have to put that in my list too. Here it goes. Copy. Paste. One thing at a time, All right. I'm going to try to go faster because I realize I'm going too slow to be interesting. Gotta keep it interesting, bros and bras. Hey, Ben, what's your opinion on Ravi Shankar? I don't know a whole lot about him. I've listened to Anushka Shankar and Nora Jones, his daughters, and I like them. And I like Ravi Shankar. I like the fact of Ravi Shankar, the fact that he collaborated with rock and rollers and stuff, and that like the his musical world and like British rock and roll met up. That's like changed the world forever, I'd say. So gotta love the guy for that. Check out JJ Berthum. Oh, I heard about this guy from Adam, I think, the other day. The Let's Write series. Oh, yes, I heard about this from somewhere. Yeah, JJ Berthum. The comment is, dude, check out JJ Berthum's channel. He has a Let's Write music series and other things like tutorials or analysis. He's a fucking genius. That sounds good. That's a good review. Cool. He's in my list. What cheap/free program is best to start songwriting with? Just recording with playing simple chords and singing over it, recording improvisations with regards to the melody. Maybe you figure out the chords in advance, but just recording vocal improvisations and then trying to put lyrics to them, that would be a very good thing. So you could use Reaper for that, because Reaper is the full demo is free, and then there's no actual time limit on the demo. So if you want to pay for it, that's that's something you can do, but you don't necessarily have to. So I would recommend that. Just get simple chords going, record yourself singing, try to put words to the melodies, and then the opposite, take words and try to put them to melody. Start with words and then try singing them and improvising, but really try to get music recorded, because you can catch a lot of lightning in a bottle, a lot of magic moments. Be like, oh, I like that. What is that? Why do I like it? And you start building up a vocabulary as a songwriter. And Neera said probably MuseScore. That's a good way to use notation. MuseScore is a notation program that you can do a lot of songwriting with, but since it's a notation program, it's not necessarily the best for writing vocal melodies. I think singing is a good way to write vocal melodies. It's maybe the best way to write vocal melodies, but if you notate vocal melodies, you might come up with vocal melodies you didn't expect to come up with, and that can be good too. So using MuseScore as an educational tool, using Reaper and recording yourself playing and improvising as maybe like how you actually write, that's a good combo. And Daniel Diaz requests that I don't talk about him while he's gone, but I am grateful to him. All right, keep this going. Ben, can you talk more about life as a working musician. What kind of income stream do you have? How do you start out? One of my majors is jazz performance. I don't know what I'm going to do when I graduate. Okay. So I think the best reason these days to go to college as a musician is for the stuff you learn when you're there. That's my opinion. I've got a kind of privileged life because going to college didn't cause me to be in crippling debt, but at the same time, many of my dearest friends are struggling with the debt, so I have some perspective on that. But I think that one of the most valuable aspects of college, probably the most important one, is what you actually learn. Like, higher learning really should be about learning something and becoming great at it, because being great at something, it makes you more useful in a capitalist system. And I think that that's like a nice benefit of knowing a lot, but being great at something also is fulfilling, and it makes you feel like your horizons are greater. It makes you feel like you can overcome challenges easier because you know how to be disciplined and learn a craft, especially a difficult craft like music. But every craft is difficult when you're talking about mastery. But as far as life as a working musician, the internet is opening up a lot of doors. I teach on Skype a lot, and that's where the majority of my income actually comes from. And getting Skype students, I've gotten most of the attention to get Skype students through having a YouTube channel. So it's thanks to the fact that I did all that work and learned all that stuff and then presented it on YouTube that I was able to then generate interest for Skype. And also it's helped me get my foot in the door for a couple other projects. And so I think a big income stream is like get great at something, teach people how to do it on the internet. That's a good one. Since the beginning of music, since the very beginning of the history of music, people did two things, and they did them the whole way through. One thing that the music has always been true of music is people perform music and people teach music. That's consistent, regardless of what the technology is, regardless of what opportunities are available. People have always been doing that. So if you can get really into teaching and really into performing, you'll always have some sort of opportunity that's paid. I think, yeah, because those things will always be really important, because they just, fundamentally, the people love to listen to music, so it needs to be performed, and then people want to then participate in music, so it needs to be taught. So if you can get, one of my majors is jazz performance. I don't know what I'm going to do when I graduate. Yeah, well, teaching, if you can find the beauty in teaching, which I've been able to, and I know a lot of people do, but not everyone does. If it's something that appeals to you at all, that's a really great place to start, because you have to constantly work on your craft, and you have to really rise to the challenge of being responsible for helping somebody meet their potential as a musician. It's a big responsibility. So if you can passionately and competently provide the service of teacher, then you're adding a lot of value to a person's life. But if you really don't, if you hate teaching, then you shouldn't do it. It'll be a soul-crushing experience. But I recommend that. I recommend performing in jazz or in wedding bands and GB bands, finding your way into that scene. You probably want to move to a city of some sort, a well-populated area, if you're going to get into the wedding scene, but that's very lucrative. And then as far as all your other aspirations, like in terms of maybe composing and making your own band and original music, those things can all end up being lucrative. I would probably think of them as things you do for your artistic soul. It's kind of fluffy word there, but your artistic soul, and for your and not necessarily have it be a condition that in order for you to feel good about your writing, and in order for you to feel good about your band, it has to be a large income source. I think it's important to allow yourself to write music and allow yourself to be in a band without the requirement of it eventually being an income source. And I think you might very well find that it becomes an income source, but it's just, that takes a little more time to get your foot in that door, and I haven't figured it out all the way, obviously. So I hope that was helpful, and I'm just going to keep going here. I've cried listening to your music, especially The Accident, Goddess, and Desire. Thank you, thank you. That The Accident and Goddess are definitely, yeah, I mean, all three of those, Accident, Goddess, and Desire, those are like really intense. They just kind of like imprint in my mind certain like real chaotic and kind of painful realities, and if they're making you cry, I guess they're communicating the gravity of that and helping create some empathy. So I'm glad you're feeling something when you hear it. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, and it was Euros. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. And Norwegian Kroners. Thanks for the info there. I was asking earlier if you weren't here, what some of the types of currency are, because I don't know like the little prefix. You know, I'm just an ignorant boy. All right, so Justice Bacon, Control-C, Control-V. Yes, that's how you copy and paste something. So let's say you have a thing and you want to highlight it, and you want to put it from where it is to somewhere else, like on a computer or something. I don't know. There's like buttons, and those are some of the buttons. Control-C, Control-V, or if you're on a Mac, it's a whole different thing. Rapid asks, have you all at Bentley ever thought about doing covers? Mars Volta maybe? Keep up the great work. Thanks. Thank you. We have done a cover of Since I've Been Loving You, a cover of Radiohead's Creep, a cover of Nine Inch Nails' Closer, and a cover of Sunshine. You Are My Sunshine. If you Google that stuff, you will surely find the audio for that on the internet. So we've done some covers, and I don't know if we're going to do any more. We did a whole Joni Mitchell cover show once for Halloween, so we learned a whole bunch of Joni Mitchell songs. That was absolutely torturous, but I remember it fondly, but it was painful, like rushing that set together and trying to do Joni Mitchell's music in a new and interesting way. It's hard to do that with anyone, really. Ray D. Oh, Crude Row. Hey, Ben, great to see you. How are you doing? Thanks for asking. I am doing well. I'm actually having a good week. I appreciate your concern. It's a good week. I've started really practicing hard again and doing a lot of singing, and it's been feeling good to be improving at something. Yeah, thank you. Ray D. I feel really passionate about making music. Just started studying music theory composition, but I don't have an instrument I particularly connect with and settle for keyboard. Should I keep looking? You might just be a composer boy, Ray. It's I think these days with the way recording is, home studio recording, just getting pretty good at like piano and getting pretty good at guitar and getting pretty good at drums and getting pretty good at bass. That's a whole different thing. Like becoming a really focused instrumentalist at one instrument. That's the value of that is you get more familiar. You have like a tool you're really, really comfortable with for all kinds of different music theory concepts and all that, and you get like fast and good techniques so you can play hard stuff on the instrument. But it might be that the purpose of instruments for you is to get an idea for what's going to work and what's not going to work when you're writing. What's going to be playable, what's not going to be playable, what's going to gel in terms of timbre, what's not going to gel, and I mean maybe that's what the instruments are for you. Maybe you're not going to be like performing the hard parts of your music, but you'll be able to tell like if they're playable. And so maybe this is a calling for you to keep learning learning the instruments with the mindset that this is going to be a tool for my composition. And if you were to pick a couple instruments to learn, I would definitely settle for keyboard first. I would start with keyboard. It's a great instrument to start on. Get your harmony down, baby. And I would recommend learning to sing well, and by well, just to be able to sing in tune, sing in your, your full range, be comfortable singing in your falsetto and your chest voice. And so yeah, keyboard, voice, and learn a little bit of drums. I think you've got quite a combo there. And thanks for being you. Thanks for being you, Ray. Thank you. And thank you, Ahmed Farhat, for your generous donation. Thank you. I think that's Swiss francs. Don't remember, but I'm just trying to learn about the world here. But thank you for supporting me and for your vote of confidence. And Sasha says, come to India. Although I'm not rich, I'll buy all the tickets. And I would love to go to India, and my hope would be that you wouldn't have to be rich to buy our tickets. But I don't have control over that. I don't know how that would even work, but I know everyone in the band wants to go to India. So the odds are we'll eventually go to India, because we're pretty hardcore about this whole future thing. So thank you for that, expressing your interest. Krudro, oh, by the way, what's your opinion about animals as leaders? I don't really have much of an opinion about them. I haven't dove in too much, but I respect them for being really good at what they do. And I knew Matt, the drummer, in college, and we were like friendly acquaintances, I'd say. And I'm very inspired by that guy. I think he's got an incredible focus and passion, something to look up to. And we both auditioned for Lady Gaga's band together, and he did really well. He got really far, and it was cool to just see how just like focused he was the whole time. He was there in the corner with headphones, wasn't talking to anyone, which is smart, because people were kind of psyching each other out a bit. It's a really odd social dynamic at waiting to get into the audition. And so, we're auditioning for Lady Gaga, and like everyone's like, whoa, look at all these people dressed up like Lady Gaga. That's crazy. And he's just in the corner, just keeping his cool. And then he has his audition, and he destroys. So got lots of respect for his kind of instincts, his instincts as a musician. Have you ever heard? Port Wayne says, have you ever heard Cardiacs? They are very interesting and insane. I have. The drummer in Bentley, Gavin, he loves the Cardiacs, and he's shown us a bunch of stuff. I've seen some of their live DVDs. Definitely innovative, huge, awesome music. It's a shame they can't play anymore. But yeah, Cardiacs is sweet. Some cool use of constant structure in their chords. All right, keep it going. So, how long does it usually take? Oh, sorry, Drew Drawing. Would it be okay to use one of your songs for animation? I'm an animation student and always find a great sense of narrative in your music. Yes, can you please email me before you pick a song so we can talk about it a little bit? Because I just want to be involved in some way. My email is benlevinmusic@gmail.com. I hope you're still here. It looks like, oh yes, you're probably still here, because that was a fairly recent comment. Yeah, thank you for asking. I actually really want to make animations with my music, and it would be really awesome if you did that. So please email me. Please don't forget. All right, benlevinmusic@gmail.com. Please. Okay. Ryan asks, how long does it take to master the guitar? I think no one has ever mastered the guitar. I feel like the more you learn with music, the more you realize how enormous, how much bigger it is than any one person. It's just this endless well of like reality affirming beauty. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of things that make me question, like, if what I'm perceiving is real, and also a lot of the time I'll like zoom out too far and my life will feel meaningless, and I zoom in too far and my life will feel too huge, and I'll get too worried about every little thing. But no matter how much doubt you have about the meaning of life or the importance of anything, there's this undeniable fact when you explore music. It's like a window into this undeniable feeling that it's worth it. It's worth it to be here. If you've come close to mastering an instrument, I think it's like approaching the speed of light. There's always so much more to go, and no one could ever really be full enough to actually reach that stage. Now, on a practical level, if you're talking about getting as good at Guthrie Govan, which I would say, is a very good question. How long does it take to get as good as that guy? I would say, if you practice really intelligently and consistently and organizedly all the time, you could get that good in like maybe 20 years. It's sort of a guess here. This is totally not like this is all speculation, but I'm just thinking about myself and how far I have to go and how much work I've done. I've been kind of inconsistent with my practice over the decades. But if I was all about guitar and less of a songwriting, composer, obsessed guy, if I was more honed in exclusively on guitar and doing a great job, I still would be way behind that guy. It's really hard to say. But I guess what I would say is don't focus on mastering the guitar. That's sort of like that's sort of the wrong thing to aim for. I would focus more on fostering your creativity, figuring out what people inspire you to be more creative and be around them, and what things make you feel more energized about life, and figure out like how to do that more with regards to music. So like if there's musicians you really like to play with, and if you have a lot of ideas and you find something that inspires more ideas, like keep doing that thing and keep trying to get guitar to keep up with all your amazing ideas. And if you focus on like bridging the gap between your ideas and your instrument, if you're always focused on that, it won't matter if you master the guitar, because you'll be mastering your ideas. And every time you master an idea, it just feels amazing. When you execute a solo you love, write a song you think is awesome, when that happens, and it could take a long time, it could have not happened yet, but when that happens, you don't care as much about how much further you have to go to master the thing. You feel this victory now, and then you just want more. You want to keep going. I'm a rambly guy, but I hope that makes sense. Navarre asks, how do you feel about Esperanza Spalding doing her Exposure album live? Did you get a chance to watch it, get a copy? What do you think about her music overall? I watched the live stream a bit, and I was so impressed with the production of the live stream. Everyone's talking, and the camera angles and everything you really did feel like you were there. And I've been in her situation so many times in that studio environment that it was sort of like watching, it's like watching something that's like so normal for me that it became boring. And what I think that's a really good sign about how well done it was, because it became boring to me because it was so real. It was so like, yeah, I did. That's it. That's like, I do that all the time. And like, it's sort of weird when it's like, if someone's a gastroenterologist and they're doing colonoscopies every day, if they see footage of a colonoscopy being done, they're not like, wow, oh my God, is that what the inside of your intestines looks like? Dang, what's that red spot? Wow, is that supposed to be there? So I think they did a really good job because it just felt like real, like I was there. And I think her music is very good because it's evolving and growing, and you can tell she's being really sensitive to not making the album necessarily that people are asking for, but making the album that she really wants to make. And that's something I value in an artist. And Timur says, happy birthday, Ben. You must follow me on Instagram, I think. I feel bad. I feel like a bad person because I took a picture of a birthday cake that said happy birthday, Ben, because I was at another Ben's birthday. And then it's like it should have been obvious to me that people think it's my birthday. But I just thought, oh, it's my name on a cake. I'll take a blurry, dark picture of it because, you know, my thing with Instagram is I try to make my Instagram basically the worst it possibly can be. As sort of a relief from all the things I try hard on. You know, it's just like a nice, funny, hilarious balance of just like this horrible Instagram. It's just so bad. But it's so consistent stylistically because of how bad it is. But yeah, it's not my birthday, but I do appreciate the sentiment. And when it is my birthday, I'll just remember that. Alexander Swisher says, hi, Ben. I think you're great, and that's all. Well, thank you. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you for making a hairy boy a happy boy. Paul Melancon says, what are your favorite resources for studying advanced harmony and jazz harmony? These days, I like to watch Adam Neely, and I like to watch the 8-Bit Music Theory guy. I like to watch the Jacob Collier videos. And sort of, you know, it inspires me to think in different ways. And I'm just gonna get into reading more. Honestly, I haven't read very many books on music since I graduated school, and I think that is holding me back. But what I would say is, for studying advanced harmony and jazz harmony, Rick Beato has a video. Rick Beato's video is theory concepts you need to know to be a professional musician. And it's just like an overview of all these things that if you knew all of them, you'd be in good shape. And I like that video because it just kind of says, here's what's out there. And then there's tons of resources online for how you study each of those things. But he puts them in order, in a logical order. Like, you should know this first, then you should know this, then you should know that, and then that. If you were to go and find his video on all the theory things people should know to be a professional musician, and make sure you got all of that, you can find rabbit holes for each one of those things until you feel really good about them. Then you know, okay, now I'm approaching like the area where I need to start digging even deeper to figure out, you know, what's next, because that's all the most practical stuff that gets used the most, and then everything else is more just for creative inspiration. It's not necessarily the essentials beyond the harmony he talks about. So I hope that's helpful. Mick Goodrick's book, The Advancing Guitarist, is really good. I pretend I'm a human. Hold on. All right. So, Shwa Iska, have you played music for any type of dance-focused show? Have you ever, or would you ever be interested in playing music for a burlesque show? If so, what do you think about it? Yeah, I actually did that. I played for we were in Japan doing a bent knee tour, and we improvised music with a dance troupe. And this is a true story. They had a lady in lingerie, and she was inside of a dog suit. She had this big removable dog head, and so she would dance as the dog, and then there'd be all these other dancers, and they'd have this dramatic thing where they unmask the dog and then find inside this woman who was so expressive and so like when she was the dog, she was one way, and then when she was exposed for being a human in a dog's body, like she changed, and it was really amazing. So I would love to do things like that again. I think I'm really into artsy fartsy dance stuff that's like super expressive. Like there's this Pina Bausch Rite of Spring ballet performance that you can find clips online. It's Bausch, B-A-U-S-C-H, I think. I love that stuff. So I think I would love to do that more. Sashay, and is any of your music inspired from your personal life? Pretty much all of it, yeah. Very like self-centered in my subject matter. I don't always write from my own perspective, but it's always something I've observed or something I've thought about. I mean, my song "Goddess," which was mentioned earlier, that's about a transgender person. Although I'm not transgender, that's something I think about a lot, and I feel like the life of a transgender person right now is something that I don't know. I feel like people seem to not really know a whole lot about it, about what it's like and what like the details of just like some of the things that come with being transgender. And so I'm really interested in like filling that gap for myself and helping other people kind of gain a little more awareness, because I think it's something that makes a lot more sense than it might seem to at first glance. It's like, I don't want to like get into it when you guys can't talk back. Like, I don't want to like do a one-way talk about it because it's something I don't know enough about. I'd really want to be able to get active feedback, especially I'd want to have someone who is trans around to like help clarify things I say, and like just I don't want to spread any assumptions that aren't true, because it's something I think that's kind of delicate in our world right now. That's really important. Thanks for asking. John Appleseed. The Ben Levin Group has created some of my favorite prog rock I've heard. Life and Back is also a masterpiece. Thank you. I'm proud of that. That you feel that way. I still can't. You can never take for granted when people say a nice thing about your music. You can never take that for granted, because you're so lucky if anyone even cares. I've been trying for so long to have an audience, and now that all of you are here, I appreciate you guys so much, because you're really making this dream of mine like real. And yeah, like, thank you very much. Life and Back's my favorite solo album I've made, and I don't get to talk to people about it very much, because not that many people know about it. I'm a very obscure musician, but I know there's tons of people who are more obscure, and so like, I got to be grateful that there are folks paying attention. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Wasanik. Hey Ben, been watching your Write with a Plan in the last few days and learning lots. I'm glad, because it's been quite a journey making that series. It's something I think as an artist that I really felt compelled to do. I really have to do it, and it's good to know that it's like actually affecting people and interesting to people. It's a series that takes a lot of patience. It's not really optimized for YouTube. It's more of something like, for a select few who have this certain curiosity about composing and are like, don't mind me basically talking like this and being silent every like little while. Like people who can find it engaging enough just to watch a piece unfold. I think it's a really hard to scratch itch, and I'm glad I can be involved in helping your itches go away. So thank you. Ray D, thanks for the advice. Is exactly what I needed. Cool. I'm glad you're still on. I'm glad that's what you need. I hope it helps. I wish you all the best. And I cannot read these characters, but would you give me some advanced guitar books? Yes. So The Advancing Guitarist is by Mick Goodrick. That's the only one I know of that I can definitely stand behind. I've never read it, but I know Tim Miller released a guitar book. I'm pretty sure he released a guitar book, and he's a teacher who I think is like I can't imagine how it couldn't be great. So I would check out Mick Goodrick's The Advancing Guitarist, and I would check out anything Tim Miller has made. Life Itself. Will you do another video on free guitar effects and rare techniques and sounds? I don't think if I know any. Well, it's a good idea. I don't know if, like, I don't have too many specifically on guitar that come to mind, except one, which is you take a grand piano in a recording studio. They gotta let you do this, but you turn your guitar up all the way with distortion on a loud ass amp in another room, and you put your guitar in the piano, close the top, and play. Or if you can't close the top, close it partway and play the piano. That knocks the strings, makes some crazy sounds, and that's something to consider. You could also put, if you had a wireless setup, maybe you could put your guitar. Yeah, I have no other thoughts on that. I'm just trying to think of something, but I realized it wouldn't make any sense. But yeah, that's I'll think about that. Yajazil Mendoza, hi from Mexico. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. MTY, I don't know. I'm an ignorant guy. I don't know what that is. I'm guessing it's a city, and I'm glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Ben from Toasters 97. Hi, Ben. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you at the Bentley Show in Portland. You guys are definitely where to go. Yeah. One of my favorite acts. Thanks. That's cool. Thanks for coming to our show. Portland was really good. That was a really nice, like, triumphant, wonderful show, and I got to catch up with some friends there. It was a great night to see us. Thanks for being there. It's a pleasure to play for you. Olivia says, I'm trying to show the Flomless Lives to my animation class I'm taking in high school right now because of the style of animation was inspiring to me. It's totally in the scope of the class. Yes, that's cool. Awesome. Yeah, I'm like a super noob at animation. That was the first one I ever made. So I'm pretty sure any animation class of any level could do that. And it's just a matter of like connecting the dots. Like you see a little squiggle and like, oh, it looks like a dog's ear. And then you make the dog, you know, like gradually, or you try, and then maybe you end up with something completely different, like a shovel. But yeah, it's just like taking whatever you can draw and making that morph. And it's a very easy thing to do, but has really cool results. That's so cool. I would love to hear what your animation class thinks of it. That's awesome. Thanks for doing that. Feel free to send me a message on YouTube or at benlevinmusic@gmail.com to let me know how that went. Protein Polymath. Hi, Ben. Hello. Wasanik. Were you worried about showing your songs to others when you got started and putting them out to the public? And if so, is there something that helped? Well, I always had a huge ego, and it's something I've had the problem of having too big of an ego, thinking, I thought back when I was like quite a beginner, not really doing anything well on any instrument. I thought I was amazing, and I don't know why. Just I fooled myself. This was pre-YouTube, so I couldn't really see people be better than me. I was just like the only guy I knew besides my teacher, and he was telling me I was doing great. And so I thought my songs were just gonna flip people's heads over. And then, yeah, they didn't. But my parents thought they were good, so that was enough. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense to worry about it because people are so negative on YouTube. There's a real, or like, all over the internet, there's a real like gravity towards trolling or making fun of things or saying things suck. And I think, it can seem like, oh man, what if everyone hates it? But the thing I would say is there's enough time in life to make, like, even if your first like 100 songs were really bad, if the 101st one was like really great, then you wouldn't regret the first 100. And so and also you could make a song that people don't like and it actually is still a good song. It's really a matter of perspective. But the point is the stakes are kind of low when you show people your songs. Like, they're songs, but you can make lots of songs, and the songs that connect with people, those are the ones that stick. But songs that people don't like, they just forget about them. But like, I mean, that might be different these days because they stay on the internet. But like, you can decide what gets spread around to some extent. And so I would say just put them out there and if people don't like them, that doesn't mean you're bad or something. You just make the next song. I would say more is more when it comes to writing songs. You got to just keep writing them. There's this study that might be made up that I heard about, but it's an interesting story nonetheless, where there was there were two classes of people who make clay pots, these pottery classes. And in one class, they spent the whole semester making one big, amazing, perfect pot. And in the other class, students were encouraged to make a different pot every class. And they would just make it fast, throw it out, make the next, throw it out. By the end of the class, the people who made a pot every day very quickly were making better pots than the ones that people started at the beginning and worked on the entire time. I think there's a lot to that. When you start writing a song, you can get stuck on that song forever trying to fix whatever is wrong with it or whatever its roots are. But if you just start over, you realize from the start how to like avoid the pitfalls of that song. And you keep throwing ideas out there, and eventually you realize what your cliches are and you grow. There's so much to gain from putting them out and showing them to people. There isn't actually that much to lose. Everything to lose is sort of in your head in terms of like how it feels to you and your idea of yourself. But the truth is, nothing that bad happens in real life. And so I recommend just making lots and lots and lots of music. Wu-Tang. All right. Can you explain how to modulate in new and interesting ways? Yeah. Here is something to keep in mind. Voice leading will almost always make things sound good, even if they are not in the same key. Like even if you're moving between keys, even if you're moving between two chords that are from different keys, good voice leading can get you to make two distant chords from different keys sound good together. And what voice leading is it's how the notes in the chord move to the notes in the next chord. So if you have two 4-note chords, this one has to get to this one. So let's say your chord here is A, C, E, G. And let's say your chord here is C, E, G, B. A needs to go to either C, E, G, B. C needs to go to either C, E, G, B. E needs to go to either C, E, G, B. And what are we doing? A, C, E, G needs to go to either C, E, G, B. So each of these notes has to go to one of those notes, but you have to end up with all 4 C, E, G, B. And so the way that this note moves, A, well, you could make A go and become G, because A is just a step from G. Or you can make A go up to B, because B is just a step up from A, and that would be called a smooth movement from A to B or A to G. You know, your C could just go right to C because there's a C in the next chord, C, E, G, B. Your E could just go to E in the next chord, C, E, G, B. That's like, you don't have to move it at all. And your B, or sorry, your G here could just move to G in the next chord. So really, to get from A, C, E, G to C, E, G, B, the only thing you have to move is the A, and you can move that down a whole step to G, and then what you have is G, C, or sorry, you move it up a whole step to B, and then you have B, C, E, G. B, C, E, G is just the same thing as C, E, G, B, but in a different order. And so that is the process of voice leading, is just picking what note is going to go to what next note in the next chord, and you can use that as your main priority. Use that as your main topic, and don't worry too much about what key the chords are from. Just think about how one note is moving to the next, and you will come up with chord progressions and modulations that surprise you, that you didn't necessarily know would work. Alexander Spike says, some parts of Doggy Fun remind me of Philip Glass a bit. Are you a big fan of his? Yeah, absolutely. That kind of minimalistic sheet of sound is something I've really gotten into. I think the patience of it is good for me. There's something about like letting the music just roll over me and not have to change immediately has been beneficial to my relationship with the world around me. I've felt a connection to minimalism that is a therapeutic connection. It really, I think, improves my focus and my ability to think deeper with fewer elements. And Philip Glass is one of the pioneers of that. And then No Reaction also asks, would it be more interesting to keep the same key throughout a record or have certain songs in certain keys? Well, I think if you're thinking about a whole record, it's really good to think about the keys that are happening and think about the movement of keys when you're writing the songs, and think about your record as really one big piece of music that is a song cycle or something. It's like a collection of songs that are related that really fit within this giant piece that is the record. So I think a little bit of both. You want to like think, okay, when I change keys, I'm picking things up. When I keep keys the same, there's more of a line. And so you jump to new keys and keep a line. So think of an interesting shape and follow it and see what you get. I think it's a great thing to think about. But it's definitely not one or the other. Like everything being the same key would be very still. Everything being in different keys would be the opposite. It'd be the least still. And so think about tempos, keys, as pieces of your arcing composition, which is the album. Juan Borjas. Hi, Ben. Do you have any tips on how to compose polyphonic musical passages without caring about consonances, please? Yes. I think the voice leading thing I was saying a second ago is the best, or is just a great thing to start with there. If you think very hard about how the notes in one chord move to the notes in the next chord, make your choices, and try different experiments, try different options. I think you will make the music sound very confident, very clear, it has a strong sense of direction without necessarily needing to be strictly tonal or super consonant. It'll just slip and slide and go in and out, and it'll feel pretty good if you're focusing on voice leading. Guns Grosses Tennis. Hey Ben, do you have any thoughts on the Tonitz diagram for visualizing harmony, coming up with new ideas? I don't know what that is. Seems like something Adam Neely would probably know. What a man. But yeah, I'll have to look it up. I'm sorry I can't help with that. But it's good to learn about all those kinds of things, because there's a lot of really cool new theory concepts that are coming to light in recent days. And Ray says, check out Pilobolus if you haven't yet for expressive dance. Thank you. I'll put that on. It's there. This is the copy and the paste feature on my computer. Houston Hilburn asks, hey, I know music theory very well, and I'd like to start playing piano. If you play piano, any books or sites you recommend? Well, I don't know. Yeah, sorry, I can't think of any. Piano's a good instrument for learning. Like there's a lot of like you can use online resources like YouTube videos for like your lectures, and then do the practice with like the guidance of a friend who plays or a private teacher. Like if you do that combination, that's really good. But yeah, I'm sorry, I can't offer too many examples. Olivia asks, I just read the lyrics to Goddess, and as a trans woman, like, damn, big mood. Thank you, Olivia. I'm glad that, you know, I wanted to, it's hard because I'm not trans to like know if it's real, you know, and so I'm glad that it's resonating, and thanks for sharing that. Juan Borjas, I always see you around, Johnny Appleseed. I guess we have the same music taste. Yeah. Nice. Life itself. How do you become a professional guitarist? Do you teach lessons or have a day job? Yeah, I teach lessons personally, but you can have a day job and still be a professional guitarist. I don't think there's any shame in the day job. I think people gotta be nice to themselves here. You know, like if you're taking responsibility and figuring out what you need to do to uh, survive and have you know have your needs met, doesn't make you less of a musician. You know you want to like make sure you don't give up music. If you love music, you got to keep it going in your life, and that can be harder the more things you have on your plate. But it's a quest that I think the pursuit of the quest is just so uh, it's so like life assuring. I don't know. It's I find that the thought of having a day job and going home and working on music, um, like the only way to make that sound like a horrible situation is if you truly couldn't go home and work on music and all you were doing was the job that was secondary to your love of music. I think you have to just make sure your day job doesn't prevent you from participating in music in some way that's enriching. But there are day jobs like that where you can achieve both, and there are also phases where you'll need a day job and phases where you won't as a professional musician. So I think, yeah, teaching lessons is a really good way, though. Yeah, I would recommend to anyone who loves to learn to teach as well, because learning and teaching go hand in hand. Do you tend to look back on your music? This is Navarre talking. Do you tend to look back on your music and find something new or have new feelings toward it, whether it be Ben Levin, Ben Levin Group, Bentley, or other projects? Yeah, I definitely do, because if it's super old, I'm just like, oh man, I remember who I was back then. I remember those times, and it's mostly like, I can do better now. But it was cool that I you know this is the guy I was back then. And you know, it's very nice to reflect and hear your friends play the way they used to and stuff, and think, oh, I don't talk to that guy anymore. Or that guy's like still around, and you know, just having those memories. But then when you listen to something you did just a few years ago, you're usually kind of critical and maybe just like hearing its inadequacies. Um, but I think that making albums every year is going to be sort of the thing that makes me look back and say, my life didn't just end in a snap, but I can like keep track of like my own trajectory, and uh, it sort of helps you look at your life from this kind of large perspective, which I think is really cool. um, Arvid says, Ben, you really inspire me to do my own eccentric things because it's amazing to see yours. Thank you, keep it up, don't stop doing your eccentric things. I think yeah, you should excitedly make mistakes and and yes, run into your weird like it's your best friend and give it a big hug. Joe says, hi, Ben. Wow. Wee. Hi, Joe. Chevy Kelly. Hey, Ben, just a fun little thing for you to look up in free time. I think you enjoy Pilot Red Sun. Just got the vibe. All right, I'll check out Pilot Red Sun. Hopefully it doesn't open up to some prank, but probably not. You guys are nice. So far, everyone's so nice. Appreciate it. For some reason, I can't imagine Ben ever having a day job. He seems built for creating. It does make me chuckle to imagine him as a barista or something. Well, yeah, I mean, uh, I think that I would. Yeah, I don't think I'd be a good barista because I don't like to go to bars and I don't drink, and I think you gotta be pretty sociable to some extent because it's like you're around the hang all the time. But I feel like I would I would I think it'd be interesting to be in construction, like just like building a house and like all the like you have to you have to like work with your hands and move around, and and like you, man, yeah, there's some things that I think would be really interesting. But thank you for saying I'm built for creating. That's definitely the impression I want to make. All right. So Patrick says, I wish T. And later he says, I wish you the best, man. Sorry, K, sucked. I wish you all the best. No reaction. How do you, as a musician who study composition, make most of your income? Who are your clients? I mostly teach online. I get hired to do music for podcasts, and I get hired to record on people's stuff. I'd love to record on your stuff if you can meet my food needs and all that, and help me out with this whole like trying to make music career thing. It's something I really enjoy. Thanks for the chance to plug my thing. Yeah, so Rude Dog 666. Do you still use the MIDI pickup? I haven't used it in a while, but I wouldn't say case closed on that or anything. I just have been focusing. I got a different guitar now. I've been focusing on like just some other things that are really exciting. But I love what the MIDI pickup does and like the potential there. So it's gonna come back. But at the moment, I'm exploring other things. Arbit asks, ever heard Esborn's Svensson Trio? They were the true pinnacle of European experimental jazz until the accident. Yeah, I heard, yeah. So I was on tour with Thank You Scientists, which is a really cool band, really exciting music. And the guitarist in the band is someone who, like, if he gives you a music suggestion, you definitely want to check it out. And he was telling me to check this out. And yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, thanks for asking. That's a really good point, though. Also, that's like jazz that I really get behind. I really like the Bad Plus. I really like I like Miles Davis, man. I wish there were more interviews with him. It's really like one of a kind. John Stryker. Hey Ben, I loved your Zelda videos. Question: do you think guitar is going to keep losing popularity until it dies out completely? Oh boy, yeah. I would say no, it won't die out completely. I think that it's possible that playing guitar with the inflection of a over-the-top like American Idol type singer, where everything's fat vibrato and it's like wah, yeah, wah, bah, bah, yo, 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 wah, where every note is really inflected like that. I think that trend might, in retrospect, be considered kind of cheesy. And obviously I do that. You know, that's like that's how we play lead. That's how like people play lead most of the time, is like you sound like this really overly dramatic vocalist. I think people might hear those things as kind of like old fashioned, and guitar will be maybe like, you know, like I feel like a futuristic guitar part writer will be things that sound more like humans making mistakes will, I think, continuously grow and be useful. Things that sound like quantized stuff you can do on a computer will start to sound very, I think they'll start to sound very like transparent. People are like, I know how that was done. So I think things that sound like rough will continue to be really useful with the guitar, and like the cleanest, most perfect stuff might lose some popularity. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with that or that it's artistically less great. I'm just thinking about like, I'm just making a guess here, basically. Shwa Iska is back. Thanks, Ben. That was a really cool story. I don't know how much about the New York scene, but my partner is a burlesque performer. It's a really rad art form. Thanks, Ray D. Looks interesting. Yeah. That's. I'm glad you liked the story, and I agree. Like burlesque done really, really well is hard to find. Just like anything done really well is hard to find. So if you ever do see a burlesque show and it's not blowing your mind, I would just consider, you know, just consider maybe that particular show wasn't great, and there's good stuff out there. But I'm not saying everyone needs to check it out. I'm just saying it took me a while to find my shit with that. So Yaume Rio asks or says, "Hi Ben Levin, just got here. Love your work. Thanks for sharing these series videos." Thank you. I'm grateful for your attention. I hope it is worth your time to be here with me tonight on this evening. I hope everybody who's watching now is having a good time. Wasane. Thanks for the answer. That was helpful. I really appreciate all of your lessons and music. You never fail to brighten my days and motivate me. Thank you. I'm glad. Being motivated is the same thing to me as having a good day, basically. So you can feel bad, but if you're motivated, that's like a good sign. Bad things can happen, but if you're motivated to push through, it's, you know, you're a lucky boy or girl or anything. Hey, Toasters97 again. Hey, Ben, thanks for answering all of our questions. I've got a few. First off, in a video you made a while ago, you said one of your influences is the Deer Hunter. What do you think of them as of now? Well, I really like how I really like how they're committing to their story. You know, that they're doing all the acts. I mean, I haven't really been like super involved with listening to them. Like, I'm not as obsessed as I used to be, but that's just because, you know, you get into different things. I'm more in a hip hop mode. But I really like their commitment and their ability to create a world with their music and see it through, their work ethic. And yeah, I think Casey's one of the best singers out there. It's really amazing stuff. No reaction. Thanks, man. You're a great beginner/intermediate teacher. Thank you. What are some of the things you learned in school? Just curious. I really learned a lot about all these different styles, and I learned about Middle Eastern music and microtonal music and South Indian rhythmic solfege and funk and jazz and rock. I learned like a little bit about like all these different styles. I took a bluegrass class, and so I kind of figured out, like, I kind of like got just enough of the language of each of those things to start like listening to a real large variety of music and appreciating it. And so I think school really helped me diversify my influences and my interests. And for like a couple of years I'd only listened to guitar shredders, and so I became very like uncreative because I was only listening to one thing. But in music school you just kind of you get to like hear a lot of people's interests, and they tell you about music they like, and you trade back and forth. And yeah, by broadening my interests, I definitely broadened my music, my ability to write, my ability to come up with ideas, and to sound like me. So another thing that I learned at school that was great was I took atonal ear training stuff, and I'm gonna make videos about that, I think. That's the plan right now. But the atonal ear training is it's hard, but it's not actually hard if you're patient. Like, if you really do it right and you just start one interval at a time, it's just like anything else. It's only hard until you break it down and figure it out, and then it's not hard. So the atonal ear training and the harmonic ear training, which is like hearing chords, those classes were super useful. Ear training is just such a useful thing. And I really liked some listening classes, like a Bartok class where you analyze Bartok and listen to Bartok quartets. That's really interesting. Yeah. And I was in a cool lab with John Finn playing his original music. And so playing John Finn's music in a lab taught by John Finn, you really just get to see what it's like to work with a good band leader who's like got years and years of experience. So that was really cool. Yeah. I really loved school. Unqualified Dashing Grizzly. Oh, it's fake Dr. Levin. You noticed. Thank you. Have you seen my hot sauce? Yeah. Don't worry, I'm not sponsored by Cholula. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I got this rock. This is coprolite. This is actually fossilized dinosaur poo for real. And I think it's amazing that you can have poo this beautiful. I like to look at it. It reminds me that poo to a dinosaur, poo to one dinosaur can be a special rock for $20 for a human. Houston Hilborn, when it comes to writing lyrics, do you think it's better to be vague or to be specific about whatever emotion you're trying to express? How do you do it yourself? That's such a good question. That's a great question. That's a very wise question. I think that you gotta, the obvious answer is you gotta do both. But the reason is interesting. I think when you're vague, you create space for the listener to derive meaning on their own. When you're direct, you fill in the blanks. So if you think of a really good movie's dialogue, really good movie, like a good love movie, they won't say, "I love you," like early on in the movie. That's something that's, if it's ever actually spoken, it happens at the end. And it's often not even spoken in a romantic movie. There's something that shows the love instead. With songs, if you give away the emotion by describing it too vividly or explaining something too specifically, you might make the payoff for the listener less, because the listener's payoff comes from kind of discovering and feeling the emotion organically. But if you don't guide the listener with a word or any sort of tangible, specific, personal, literal thing, there isn't really a starting point. So you can tell just by the way I'm thinking about this that it's like a kung fu kind of dance. I'm doing this with my hands because it's kind of what I'm thinking about, is there's vagueness and there's literalness and there's a sort of dance. Like if you look at Bob Dylan, for instance, and Bob Dylan's lyrics in Like a Rolling Stone, there's a good amount of stuff in there that you can really be sure is about a specific topic. And then there's stuff where you're just like, what is that description referring to? It's like, what is this? But it's an image that burns in your head and it's very vivid. So with Radiohead, you often don't even understand what the lyrics are on first listen, but every now and then they'll jump into "cut the kids in half, cut the kids in half," and they'll do it over and over again, and you're like, "Cut the kids in half." Whoa. And that's enough specificity. That's a very specific thing that all the vagueness of not necessarily knowing what's going on suddenly is like, this is a world here. Cut the kids in half, and now this. Okay, wow. So I wouldn't limit yourself and be like, that's too specific. I'm being too on the nose, or that's too vague. I need to be more specific. I would try to ask your friends when you play them a new song, ask them what they thought it meant and see what feels good or bad about their answer. Sometimes they'll think it, most of the time, they'll think it means something very different from what you think it means, but you'll like what they think it means, so you're fine with it. And that's good. It got them to a place where they had a real good experience and it's something that you think vibes with the song. But then other times they'll be like, oh, yeah, there was a dream and a flower, and someone started opening a pretzel bag. If you're like, it doesn't seem like that did anything, then you just think about, where did I lead them astray, or what needs to be there? Or someone might say, yeah, it's about your breakup and you're still pissed and seems tough. If you don't feel that, maybe then you're coming on too direct. So it's good to get feedback on your songs, even though it's a very personal thing. I know it's hard, but it's good to get people you trust who have your best interests in mind to give you their honest interpretations of your song. They'll usually have something very insightful to say if you're asking people who you really like, who are honest with you. It's hard to find people who are honest with you. That's really important. Juan, you're welcome. He said, thanks for answering our questions. You're welcome, Juan. I'm grateful for your questions. Honestly, this is very fun for me. Nick Crash, any tips for a beginner songwriter? Yes, yes. Make sure you're writing songs about a lot of different kinds of things. Write your song about how you feel, and then write your song about the pepper and salt shaker over there, and write a song about what it's like to watch birds fly by the window, and then flip it. Now I'm the bird looking at the human watching. Write songs about how it feels to have your hands on the grass when you're a kid, and now how does it feel now? And do our senses link us to the past, or do they fool us into thinking time has passed or time hasn't, or whatever? Just like write about many different things in a very free form, non-critical way. I always have a journal. I'm always filling it with a lot of just like bullshit and nonsense, and then like some good stuff pops out. Here's a good, I just ended up at a cool line. So I was writing for a while, like just like jibber jabber, and I came to this line: what will machines do to me? What does a wolf do to sheep? How do humans make meat? How are pigs treated? And we're giving our doggy a treat. So like the how do humans make meat? How are pigs treated while we're giving our doggy a treat? That part I'd throw out. But I love the what will machines do to me? What does a wolf do to sheep? I think that's enough info right there for a really cool a place for your audience, your listener to go. And I only arrived at it because I filled this book with so much garbage, like the pig line, for example. Yeah, so I recommend, I'm just looking at that and like, yeah, it's not good. So you just write some mounds and mounds and mounds of stuff about all kinds of different things. You'll get some cool open minds effects from that. And then just learn a bunch of chord progressions and learn a lot about chords and harmony, and improvise singing over these chords and record yourself singing and try to get your voice as a singer in tune and like build it, because it's a great tool for delivering your songs. So those are the first two steps: is write a lot about a lot of different things. Don't worry about it being good. Just get it out, get it in, get it all over. Then learn some theory, some chords, and sing over it. What is your best way to stay motivated playing guitar? Asks life itself. Well, it turns out that one of the best things to help me get motivated is to have like a specific routine in my day where I'm in the habit of playing guitar. And it's almost like, well, of course I play guitar because it's like 10 a.m. and this is the time where I play guitar. If you can just kind of through brute force make sure you're practicing at a certain time every day, and like it could be like the second you wake up, you go and do your thing, blah blah blah. Half an hour later, you have a 10-minute block where no matter what you do, you turn off the lights in your room, you play in the dark for 10 minutes. And whatever the way you want that practice to be, to schedule it, have it be possible for it to become a habit. That really helps, because it just makes your body say, shouldn't we be practicing? And that's useful. Another thing is to play with other people. It's hugely important. You've got to play with other people. You got to play with humans. They'll give you lots to be happy about and excited about. And Gonzo's Repos, he says, I love you. And I give you the kind of love that you give me. I give that back to you. You are inspiring me with your positivity. Thanks for the vibes. Ray D, I'm going to take a walk and make some dang music. It's been wonderful. Yes, well, I salute thee. Sandow Sinai, where are we going? All right. Sandow Sinai, what's your favorite chord? I like, I mean, you can't really have a favorite chord. You knew I was going to say that. I think everyone knew I was going to say that. But I want to give you an answer here that has some truth in it, which is I just love Lydian. Who doesn't? There's something about Lydian that it's just like, I feel like that's the most, when I think about the guy I want to be a Lydian guy. it's hard to put my finger on it. So major 7, sharp 11 in any form. You can add that 9 in there, make it crunchy. I'd have to say major 7, sharp 11 is just like the one that never quits. CJ Egg says, "Hi Ben." Hello. Andreas is back with another question, and I'm happy to answer it. Have you ever made or thought of making music for games? I think that would be awesome. Yes, I would love to do that. I'm very obscure, so I have not been asked to do that. But I have made some virtual reality music things myself that are too bad for anyone to experience. They're uncomfortable experiences. But I made like a music video you can walk around in. That's actually possible to get. Forgot how you could actually get it. It's like I have an itch.io account. If you like Google Ben Levin, itch.io, what's that song called that I did? Jeez, I can't remember. I spent like 1,000,000 hours on this thing. If you look up Bad Chemicals, Ben Levin, itch.io, you'll find the thing. And if you can figure out how to play it on your computer, it's free. But that is something I really am interested in making. I think video games are like the beautiful art form that I have missed out on the most. Like that and books. I haven't read enough books. I haven't played enough games. The books I have no real good excuse for because that would fit in my life. The games, I just can't fit it in my life right now. I get way too into games. It just kind of upends all my other thoughts. I can't think about anything else. So, Mr. Flatman, apologies if this has been asked before, but do you have any plans to have Doggy Fun performed by a real ensemble? Yes, I'm making those plans now. We're going to be recording in a living room, and it's going to be a cool vibe. And because of the expense I will save on the studio, I will be able to pay the musicians properly, and it will be professionals. So that's going to be good. Carlos asked, what the fuck was that? I'm pretty sure it was probably me saying hello to someone. Gotta give everyone a unique hello if you can, because they're special, just like you and me. Oh yeah, I'm becoming a character. And can you talk? CJ says, can you talk about any major roadblocks while learning guitar? Well, the answer is yes. I mean, many roadblocks. I think it's really hard to play to changes and still sound like yourself, or like have your ideas come out while you're playing over changes, like looking at a chart and they're moving around and stuff. So it took a really long time for me to be able to be expressive in that situation and not just like so analytical that I'm not even hearing what I'm doing. It took a lot of work. So that's one of the hardest things I think that I've worked on. It's like kind of an ongoing thing. And in my Giant Steps series, you can really see me dealing with that. That's doing that Giant Steps series. Fun fact, I really couldn't play Giant Steps before I did that series, and I thought this would be a good way to make sure I make it happen. And so I got a lot better at Giant Steps from that series. So everything I was teaching in that series was stuff I was actively doing to work on it, and it was working. So that was a major roadblock, and that's how I got over it, was by making that series and practicing a lot and things like that. So Houston Hilburn is back with a kiss. Mwah! Back at you. And then we've got DWV's 1996. So are you in the sequel to Ben 10? And to that, I have to say, no. I am not the sequel to Ben 10. And Gonzo's Repose. Are you a very new guitar player? What should I focus on to understand how to play? Or as a very new guitar player, what should I focus on to understand how to play? I've learned a few songs. I only feel like I'm getting better at those songs and not guitar as a whole. Yes, that's a good question. Can you learn some of those songs in another key? I think that would really help. And if you're playing all open chords, try learning how to play without open chords. Like learn other voicings for those chords. If you take those songs you know and you can play them in many different keys that'll force you to figure out some theory concepts that are really helpful, force you to figure out how to make those chords not just apply to those songs in that moment, but have those chords apply to many different songs in many different situations. I think that'll help you stretch out a bit. So take those songs, figure out what key they're in, and take those chords, move them into another key. Different shapes, find different ways to play these things, and they'll start to apply. They'll see all the crossover. There'll be a lot of cool stuff that happens on that pursuit. And John Stryker said good night, and he gave me hugs and kisses. Right back at you, John. Jamie Henderson, my rhythm is shit, even when playing to a click. Can you give me some exercises for improving basic rhythm? Thanks, Ben. Yes, that's such a important thing. Good for you for using the click, and good for you for recognizing how important it is to work on your rhythm. Well, it's all about how you use the click. If you're having a hard time playing to the click in time, you gotta simplify what you're doing with the click and find a comfortable tempo. Like, the slower you go, the harder it gets. The faster you go, the harder it gets. And there's the middle tempos where things are kind of easier. Try to find a tempo that just feels too easy. It's like, playing this thing at this tempo is just boring. And focus all your energy, like it's a meditative exercise, on nailing those clicks. Every click and every note in its place. Like, just focus in on something that you know you can nail. And start building different tempos. Try different, make it slower. Can you still nail it? Make it faster. Are you still nailing it? See if you can move around the map with this really simple stuff. So the key is go simpler and you'll make your foundation better and build on that. So even if that means just playing whole notes where you make sure you're just on the click at the one, you won't have to stay on that for very long. You'll get better fast. Start dun, dun. Make sure you're right on the click there, and you can add quarter notes, you can add eighths. This thing might seem like, well, anyone can do that. What, like, come on, like whole notes. People are often fooled into thinking they can do something, but then when they actually try it, it's like they're not really nailing those click points. So just slow things down, simplify them, or speed them up depending on how slow you are, in terms of tempo. And record yourself doing it. Also, constantly be listening back to what you did. Record yourself playing these things, and be very analytical. Like, it's not like, am I a good person? Am I a bad person because of my rhythm? It's just like, oh yes, I was off by that much. I was on by this much. I'm rushing. I'm not rushing. I'm dragging. Whatever. Get some stats. Get some data in there. You'll be good. And then Rain Shortcuts says, oh shit, love the Land Animal album, dude. Thank you. That's good to hear. We worked hard on that album, and we made it fast, so it's very difficult, very, very difficult. No reaction. What would you say comes easiest to you in composing? What comes easiest to you when playing this, performing? What comes most difficult? Yeah, thank you. Good question. So easiest for me is, easiest thing when I'm composing is to make music that's changing all the time. It's hard for me to make super focused music that just stays on a few simple things, but just feels good and you can ride it the whole time. You'll find that it's rare in my music for there to be 4 things going on that don't change for more than that just keep going for more than a few minutes. Very, very rare. That tune Flambus I made was at first supposed to be an attempt at tackling this issue and just making something that repeats over and over again but grows very subtly. But then I hit with all those drums and bass hits, and it turned out really well, but that is playing to my strengths. I have all this really crazy stuff going on in that tune. So it's easy for me to make things that change a lot and still feel cohesive, but it's hard for me to make things that don't change very much. And what comes easiest to you when playing/performing? Playing/performing. I'm very good at sloppy but emotional. I can really get an audience excited, but I can't keep my accuracy popping. same thing with singing. I'm really working on this now because singing, you can't scream every night. Like when I reach a point where I'm just like, forget the lyrics, forget the melodies, I'm just like screaming. You can't do that. I'm gonna lose my voice. It's not like I'm like a metal screamer where I have all this technique, I know how to do it, or that I've done it so much that I'm just naturally just great at it. I just lose my voice, you know. So I got these in-ear monitors now, and I'm really working on my singing, trying to really fix this whole thing, just get myself just to be great. I want to be a wonderful, wonderful singer, someone who just like it's just like as professional as can be with singing and can reach the audience. But I'm good at like getting people emotional and like connecting, but I'm not really accurate and it's not sustainable. Great question. Thank you. Olivia Newborn returns with a question that I'm happy to answer. Do you know Karen J. Callanan? Yes. Oh, and specifically, song about drugs. Love that song. That's a really great, yes, love that song. Just another song about drugs. I love it. I love it. Yeah, that song's amazing. I've listened to that a million times. Literally. No, it's just like, oh man, it's funny and scary and beautiful and so, so intense. You guys have to check that song out. Kieran J. Callanan, song about drugs. It's sad. It's an acronym. It's really good. Gons Grossies Tennis. Thanks for taking the time to answer all our questions. You're welcome. If you're interested, there's a few threads on Reddit about the Tonnetz diagram. Thank you. Excellent. Cool. Just Google Tonnetz Reddit. There was a question earlier about this diagram. I don't know anything about it, so I'm going to check it out. Thank you very much. You are very kind. I'm going to copy and paste. Up. All right. Avar, has alcohol or drugs ever influenced your playing? If you have ever experienced that side of life, have you seen it happen to musicians you know? Do you think that old rock star life is gone? Ah, Avar is a deep cat. All right, so I don't partake in any substances of that sort. Yet I don't think specifically marijuana is a problem. I think so like I've seen really highly functional people who smoke weed, and I've seen people where it just like knocks them out. So I would say you gotta, if you're curious about how that specifically influences your music, I think you have to be very careful because first of all, your subjectivity goes away. You can't necessarily say just because something's good when you're high that it's going to be good later. And most people at your shows, even if they're high, they're going to be high in their own way. So I think it's hard to be objective about your music anyway. So when you are a little drunk or a little high and you're playing, you're buzzed, you're feeling the music differently. And I don't know if that will necessarily lead you to the best results. But however, I know some people who do they smoke weed a lot and are killing it, and doesn't seem to, they just love it. But so I'm not here to like judge the concept, and since I've never done it, I'm not an expert, you know. But I'm just scared of that stuff because I have a hard enough time with like this reality, and I think so much about the subjectivity of it and how fragile all this stuff that holds us in our sanity is, and just how susceptible, how much our senses of the world are just all that we know of the world, and how much more there could be. So I don't know. I think I might freak out if I did LSD. I don't think I'd be the right personality type for it because I have a sort of maybe negative leaning towards existential subjects. I'm a little overly concerned with them. And then marijuana and alcohol, anything that makes me slow down, that's not really my thing. I like caffeine. I do think the old style rock star life is very different now. There's still a lot of pressure on the road to like find a substance for everything. Like on the road, you know, you're so tired, so caffeine. Man, you're so nervous, so alcohol. Oh man, there's so many people here. It's too many people here, alcohol. Oh, this like really cool dude I haven't seen in a long time brought some cocaine. You know, no one in my band does cocaine, you know, or like any hard stuff, but you see it, and you know, I'm not judging those people. I'm just like, you know, eventually it seems like you can have your whole day, like have a substance for to get you through your whole day for every little problem that could happen. And I think I don't want that to be how it is for me. And so I'm kind of scared of it. Uh, but I'm not an expert at all. I admit that there's a lot I don't know about that for sure. Mr. Flatman, something I've been struggling with lately is someone who tries to dabble in more than one craft is this really for me? Oh, that's a good, yeah. Are there things you've given up on and what led you to that decision? That's so great. Love that question. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So this is a huge thing for me. I did StarCraft, uh, dog training, painting, physics, game programming, comic book making, um, a bunch of stuff. Like I got really into those things, and they all kind of just fell away. I got a useful lesson from all of them. I learned something about all of them, but I learned something from all of them. But yeah, I definitely couldn't keep it up. And so I think, is this really for me? I ended up arriving there, but the reason music always stayed was because I've never even thought for a minute that music wasn't a productive pursuit for me personally, because it just it it's something I can both worry about and feel so much like I gotta do this, my God, and then also such elation from. I can't stop doing it. But if you doubt your love of music, that doesn't mean you're not supposed to do it. It just, you gotta see what you stick with, what gets tiring to you, and like, yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, but for me, that's come up a lot. I got really serious about all that stuff. Like the StarCraft thing was the least productive, but it did many StarCraft YouTubers. It helped me like figure out that I wanted to do this. So that's the great lesson from StarCraft. Great lesson from dog training is actually how to, when you look at a dog with a problem, you say, oh, this dog's got food aggression, or this dog's like, was this thing happened? Oh, is this stream working? Yeah. This bad thing happened to the dog, and because that bad thing happened to the dog, it acts this way. And so you accept the dog for its flaws, and you say, I want to work with you, doggy, and I want to help you, be a happy doggy. And I wish I had that attitude with people where I just like, I don't know what this person's thing is, and I'll never know, and there's so much. So the reason they treat me this way or whatever, it's like, that's just something they're doing right now. And I wish it didn't, like, it's great to be able to just see a person and remember there's so much missing to your perception of them. And I thought dog training helped me with that. No reaction. I've found modulating through playing in modes to be very colorful. For example, if I'm in C and I want to go to A flat, I'll just play in C low key and then C Phrygian. And then how do you add color to passages? So yeah, if you were in C Locrian, soloing with C as your root note and making melodies in C Locrian, playing chords in C Locrian with a strong C center, and you switch to C Phrygian, that would put you in the key of A flat. And that's a cool way to do it. You'd only have to change one note. There's only one note difference between C Locrian and C Phrygian, so it'd be really smooth. How do you add color to passages? It has a lot to do with the way you perform. your inflections, and your texture. I actually have to go in a minute, and I want to see if I can get everybody. Let's do this. All right. All right, all right, all right. Where did I go? Oh, where am I? All right. Let's do this. We can do this. Juan Borjas. I have a big problem with composing songs. I've written nearly hundreds of melodies, riffs, and chords, but I haven't been able to finish a complete song in years. Oh, such a good question. How can I solve this? Yeah, very common question, very common problem for a lot of people. I understand it. You gotta just combine some of those songs together. Be dirty and get your hands dirty. Don't be too careful. Slap them together. See if there's even any hint that it works, and then figure out how to smooth out that connection. Just be very, very rough and don't refine later. If you've got a lot of stuff, just mix and match, as if you're a DJ, picking a playlist for a bar mitzvah. You got to just see how the things affect each other. Just if you're making all this material, you've got it. You got the material. Just marry the material to itself, and you'll be on the right track. Jason Blackwell says, minor 7, sharp 5 rocks. True. Minor 7 with a sharp 5 is also that's another chord too, right? That's like you'd have C, E flat, A flat, B flat, right? So that's like an A flat major. No, man, I'm too tired right now. But yeah, right back at you. Oh yeah, because you gotta keep the G in there, so it'd be C, E flat, G, A flat, B flat, right? So you got your G, you got your A flat, so G. I'm sorry, I'm too tired. It's not working, but yeah, go Jason. All right. Gonzo says, the Lydian man. Yeah, I agree. It's cool. Lost in the Woods, baby. Joseph, how you doing, man? How'd you find your own sounds, style, and creating music? Well, Adam actually put out a really good video about this recently, Adam Neely, about just how you're like a collage of all your influences. I got into a whole lot of different influences, and so I recommend just expanding the amount of stuff you listen to include, just like keep foraging and looking for new kinds of music, new bands, and don't close yourself off. You're like, oh, I hate this kind. No. Try, give everything a real shot. If you use Spotify, use the Discover playlist. Really use these resources now that help people link to other music, because the more things that pique your interest that you can find, if you're able to put them together, it's going to be you. It's going to be a reflection of your love. I'm going to keep going, but thanks for chiming in. Joseph, Milton, man, I want to see Bentley live. I want you to see us live. We'll be touring a little more this year, a lot next year. I hope to see you out there. Protein Polymath, people need to stop putting flyers on my car. I don't want to see a band called Parking Violation. Good joke. Jason Blackwell, I have to say a big thank you to you. You inspired me the last Let's Write a Song series. I used the 20-minute writing rule, wrote a couple of pieces from this. Thank you, Jason. It's always great to see you around, man. And I wish you all the best. Appreciate it. Mr. Flatman, thanks for answering my questions. The Gear Stories video was a real tearjerker for me, so and probably some of the other people here in chat appreciate what you're doing right now. That was a time. Oh boy, when I made that was quite a time. Yes, thank you. I'm glad it made a difference. I have to head out really now, but I don't want to leave y'all hanging. Let's see. Milton Stafford, when will Bentley come to Florida? I'm not sure. Hopefully next year. Hard to say exactly because it's not booked at this time, but I'm guessing next year. Jamie Henderson, thanks, Ben. Sorry for the double post-grad advice. We'll incorporate that into my routine and let you know on your next stream. See you soon. Excellent. Thank you. I'm excited to hear what you do. Stephen Lester, hey, Ben. So I've been in San Diego and talked to you after the show. Hello, Stephen. Good to see you again. I see you. Yeah, I remember you. I can see your face on your profile, and thanks for coming out. I want to ask, how do you get better at composing music? Are there resources I could read, or is this something I have to practice? I think a good way to get better at composing music, there's a lot of ways to do it. One thing is record your improvisations and just listen for the parts that pique your interest, and that'll give you a big hint on what kind of thing you want to be doing. Learn the little bit that you really like. look at scores while you're listening to music. If you can get the score to music, look at the score. Just see the shape, see the way things move, see the way things morph. That really helps get new ideas on how like different things can mold together. Resources, you know, I would improvise with other people, do some jamming, and just record it. And I would get MuseScore out or any composing thing and just mess around. Just like get your hands dirty, experiment, experiment, experiment. You don't have to really worry about the technique of it at the beginning. I think it's more important to get some idea of like a direction that you are enjoying and make a lot of crap too. Gosh darn, you're a smart lad, aren't you? Thanks, Chevy. I want you to think I am. Trying. Toasters97. Hello again, Ben. I got another question for you. This one's quick. Which Bentley album is your favorite? I'm most proud of. Adore them all, but Tiny Eyed Babies is my favorite. That record honestly changed me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad it made a big difference. My favorite is Land Animal. It's hard not to love the most recent album the most because I'm, you know, like, that's the newest music. That's the most me as I am now, you know, and that's the most us, you know. So Land Animal really, it's my favorite one. Shiny Eyed Babies, though, I love it. I'm very proud of it. The only one I don't like is our first one, but you know, I'd say Say So was just Say So is my second favorite. Shiny Eyed Babies my third favorite. So that's how it goes. You know, it's in order. Taco Cat gets good. I love you, Ben. Well, I love you. Taco Cat gets good. I'm glad you listened to Freak Machine. He said Freak Machine hit me in a really good way. I appreciate that. That was a piece of music that hit me in a lot of ways while I was making it. I was getting slapped around, and I think you can hear that in there. It's like everybody is getting like pushed and twisted. Olivia, I need more really weird music to listen to. Any recommendations? I'm open to anything. Check out Colin Stetson. It's not like super weird, but Colin Stetson, Stetson. Really love it. Check out Peasant by Richard Dawson. Peasant by Richard Dawson. Listen to Tyler Creator's new album, Flower Boy. That's a nice variety of stuff, and it's all very innovative, I'd say. Gabe 54, at this stage of your career, how much of their material such as motifs or pieces under development, when you critically evaluate a piece, you decide to abandon or reject? Great question. I reject almost 1 out of every 3 songs, just about. The whole thing. Get the whole thing done. Throw it out. Or save it for later, or revisit. But it's, yeah, oh, and while I'm writing a piece, I'll write a lot of stuff that doesn't end up in it. So you can see that in the Let's Write series. There's a lot of stuff that I spent like 4 episodes on, and they never ended up in the thing. So thank you for your question. Zach Richardson, I found that guitars can't really play ballads as well as horns or other instruments. Do you agree? Yeah, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. It's because of that sustain and that. But you can get those things on guitar. It's just a little harder. And I guess, yeah, you can get around that. But you can make any instrument beautiful with the right touch. So I don't think that guitars are doomed to not play ballads as well. In fact, I think a good distorted guitar with a whammy bar is almost made for that. But I get what you mean. So I would just think about tone, think about inflections, and don't blame it on the instrument. Just try go for it. But I hear what you're saying. It's a reasonable concern. Joseph Alvarez, happy birthday! Thank you. It's fake birthday, unfortunately, but I get you. I get what you're doing there. No reaction. When's your next live stream? Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I guess people usually decide that. Gosh, I should. Well, all right. How about this? I'll do it next Saturday. What's it? Yeah, I'll do it next Saturday, the 23rd at 8 p.m. I'll do it next Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you. That's in my calendar. Thanks for asking. William Cloninger. Hey, you know my buddy Jim McGuire? I sure do. What a guy. He's a cool dude. Yeah, I like Jim. Yeah, I wish him all the best. William Day, what are your thoughts on noise elements in music? Because I haven't seen you use them as much in your compositions. That's a good question. Something I usually do in like my hip hop stuff's got a lot of that. I think my album Life and Back and my album Freak Machine I think uses a lot of it. But I don't do that in the notation. I usually do that in the DAW or with the humans, like when I'm rehearsing. But yeah, I could do it more. It's good stuff. I know what you mean. Yeah, thanks though. Ross Tux. I really dug the new composition band. Can't wait to hear the recordings of it. Thank you. Me neither. It's going to be a lot of work, but we're going to do it. James Howard 90. Belly Side Up. What a song. Thank you. Yes. Love that one. It's definitely one of my faves. Appreciate that. Navar. I have had such powerful emotions listening to your albums by myself at home and live. I tend to go crazy, LOL, during way too long, even cried. Do you have these same emotions for your favorite bands? Yes, and thank you for that, Navar. You're a good friend and a great musician, and I'm glad you found us and we found you. Yeah, I definitely get that from my favorite bands. It's rare, but when it happens big. So, Olivia listened to Peasant, really loved it, and check out the other. Excellent. You're gonna check out the recommendations. You're welcome. I hope you enjoy them. Abraham Rodriguez, what do you think of memes? I think that's what the question is. Yeah, it's not really my sense of humor right now, but maybe I just haven't seen the right meme. But I do have a new joke, and I'll end with this. I see some memes. I get it. Here's my joke. Look, well, do you want me to tell you something I've never told anyone before? Crack, creek, break. Snap, still like a tomato, like really, we just snap like what it bad, get it to how. Pretty sure I've never said that before. All right, and last question. View counts on the right with a plan continue to go down. What kept you motivated? Good question, Jared. It's a little hard when you look at it that way to stay motivated, but what motivated me was I tried to imagine, since there were about 200 people consistently watching them as it went. I tried to imagine what those 200 people must think. They're still watching. They must really get it. It must be adding something to their lives. Now try to imagine a room of 200 people. I've seen rooms of 200 people. That's a lot of people. And if these people are watching me compose and think it's interesting, I can only think of maybe one or two other people where they could go and watch them compose and have that kind of content, have that kind of an experience. And so it's all about them. It's about the hardcore people who just kept watching the whole time. And then there's also the fact that if the final product ends up really good, then people will go back and watch and they'll be curious about how it all went. So maybe in the future there will be more people checking it out. But I'm thinking about how to do it next time. So maybe, it's maybe like the stuff that more people feel included in, that they have more patience for. I make that on my main channel, and then maybe I'll have like a club for the people who are really hardcore about the super detailed stuff. I'm not sure. I have a lot to think about. I really love doing this. Thank you, everyone. I really, really appreciate this. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night and a wonderful weekend, wonderful week. And I'll be back next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This was really fun. Thanks for making it special first time. Bye-bye. Time to figure out how to stop. What if I pause it? Trying to figure out how to stop. Goodbye, goodbye. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for your help too. I gotta stop it. I think I know how. See you later. You're welcome. Thank you. Bye, 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 bye.